Welcome to Manwhatrial HQ, where I read questionable manhwa at 2 a.m. so you don't have to. If you like it, drop a sub. If not, we'll pretend this never happened. In a world where dragons are like the VIPs of the fantasy ecosystem, divine, elegant, and likely to ignore you completely unless you're really annoying or glowing with some kind of plot armor, one poor soul, Sion Verd, finds himself smack dab in the middle of a scene so chaotic Shakespeare would have dropped his quill and gone home. Dragons, those majestic flying nuclear lizards, are supposedly the closest thing to the creator itself. Most people can only dream of seeing one before they die. This dragon soars dramatically, directly over a crowd of people he'd rather not make eye contact with, like exes at a wedding. Among the crowd, Erin, who shouts Sion's name like she's in a soap opera and just discovered a long-lost twin. Meanwhile, the Emperor, yes, the big boss himself, is having a royal meltdown, not because of the dragon per se, but because Sion is on it. Like a weird cowboy who lost his horse and stole a mythical beast instead. The Emperor's like, "Vilar, bro, why is your son riding a death lizard like it's bring your dragon to work day?" And Vilar? Dude's chill, doesn't move, doesn't flinch, just stands there with the emotional availability of a brick wall. Meanwhile, Sion's on the dragon thinking, "I just wanted to drink its blood, not host a sky parade." But rewind a little. How did Sion get here? Earlier, an evil dragon showed up, as evil dragons do, announcing itself like a kaiju in a B-grade monster movie. Kum, Sion's resident demonic sword and sass machine, told him to chow down on it. But before he could prep his dragon sashimi recipe, a surprise swarm of monsters appeared. Classic. Sion, at this point possessed by Harem, was not in the mood for nonsense. "Time's a-ticking," he grunted, and with the swagger of a boss battle, he activated Fogstorm, the Angry Weather Edition. A gust of deadly mist whooshed through the monsters like a salad chopper on full speed. After that lovely display of carnage, he landed heroically in front of the dragon. Cue dramatic music. Staring at it, Sion muttered, "Not fully grown, still terrifying. Great." As the dragon opened its mouth and charged a breath attack like it was coughing up a laser beam of doom, Sion prepped his one-liner. "Wow, you spit on me? Rude." And then bam, he slashed it right in the eyeball. That's right, straight to the eye. No hesitation. Not even a warning. The dragon, understandably, went Super Saiyan angry, launching Sion into the air like a rag doll. Then it gave chase. Most people would run away. Sion grinned. Because he's not most people. Also because Kum, the demon sword, is definitely a bad influence. Sion launched his counter 8 fluttering petals, which sounds beautiful, but is basically an AoE explosion of doom. The ground shattered, trees cried, birds probably moved away permanently. But even Sion had to admit, he was sore, like old man back pain sore. "Not today, dragon," he muttered. "I'm too tired for this." The dragon responded by flapping its wings and stirring up enough wind to power a village. Sion swore he wouldn't fall for the same trick twice. Then the dragon ran away. Yes, ran, not flew, just awkwardly shuffled off like a lizard late for a dentist appointment. Sion stood there, jaw dropped, calling it a cowardly lizard. And when you call a dragon that, you have to chase it. It's fantasy law. So he jumped, like leaped, straight into his next bad idea. Because now he's midair again, wondering if maybe, just maybe, he used all his good luck points just finding the dragon in the first place. Cue existential crisis. Kum asked him what's wrong, like a sarcastic AI co-pilot. He replied with the grace of a stressed college student, "Can't you see the crowd down there?" Kum was not impressed. "So, use me. Let's cause a scene." Sion blinked. "Do you want me to get burned at the stake? You think people are just going to smile and wave when I whip out a cursed demon sword in broad daylight?" They argued, loudly, on a flying dragon. Meanwhile, dear old dad, Vilar, summoned a magic circle beneath his feet. Not just any circle, an 8-star advanced level probably destroy the neighborhood kind of circle. Oh no, Sion thought. He's using the secret sword of the heavens. That'll hit me too. Dad unleashed a rain of golden swords. Literal divine weapons came down like angelic judgment missiles. Sion, watching from the dragon, cheered for the beast to dodge like it was a game of fantasy dodgeball. And the dragon? It actually did well. until one sneaky sword came in from the side and bam, nailed it. Sion and Dragon both fell. Sion cursed, not for the fall, but because he missed his chance to taste that sweet, sweet dragon blood. Falling through the air, Coom popped in like a backseat driver, asking if he planned on kissing the dirt. Sion blinked. I mean, maybe. Coom, visibly furious. Coom, do you want to die? Sion, thinking, not thinking. Okay, maybe there's one way out. Coom, don't you dare fall into that water. That's not a lake, that's a filth pit. It's like the backwater of the demon realm. Sion, no choice. Splash. Elsewhere, in a scene shift that's suspiciously ominous, a dude with horns sensed the dragon from afar. Silver-haired, smug, and clearly way too calm, he muttered, "Yo, a devil dragon. That's rare." Another horned bro nearby chimed in. "It's a baby, looks lost, or dumb." Silverhair paused. "There's something weird going on across the border. A strange energy. It feels familiar." Red-haired bro said, "If you're curious, go check it out. But for the love of the demon lord, don't slaughter everything just because you're bored again." Wings sprouted. Mystery man flew off. Plot thickens. Back to our waterlogged hero. Sion emerged from the red swampy liquid like a wet cat who just lost 9 lives. He looked like he'd been emotionally and spiritually violated. "My life," he groaned. Coom popped up, dripping wet and murderous. "Don't talk to me. I'm plotting your murder." Sion smiled weakly. "We'll clean up when we get back?" Coom, "Back? You think we're going back? You imbecile, we're in the demon realm now." Cue panic. So there they were, soaking wet, covered in grime from some suspiciously evil-looking pond, and thinking, at least we didn't die, yet. That's when the universe decided to crank up the difficulty level. Before Sion could finish telling Coom, his snarky demon sword partner, that there's no way they'd bump into a high-level demon in the middle of nowhere, someone just had to appear and make it awkward. A silky, terrifying voice echoed, practically purring mischief, like someone just walked in with a fun idea and a history of mass murder. Sion's entire spine froze. That voice. Oh no, oh no, no, no. It was him. That voice had been burned into Sion's brain like someone branded his soul with it in a past life. Because, well, that's exactly what happened. Sion turns around, and who else would be standing there in full demon fashion but Valerian, a.k.a. the big bad of all big bads, a.k.a. the Demon King, now with 300% more existential dread. Sion's face turned from mildly stressed to full-blown soul-evacuating the building mode. The Demon King just casually asks, "Hey, you human?" like he's ordering a latte. Sion didn't answer, mainly because it's hard to speak when your throat's doing gymnastics. Valerian, seemingly offended that his casual greeting wasn't returned, teleported behind him like, "You want to go, little man?" Reflexes kicked in. Sion slashed with Coom and just barely clipped a strand of Valerian's hair. Now most people would be offended. Valerian? He laughed, like a proud dad who saw his kid punch a wall for the first time. He even complimented humans for their limitless potential, like he was a college admissions counselor recruiting for Team Demon. Coom, meanwhile, whispered, "Who the hell is this guy?" And Sion, still twitching, deadpanned, "Demon King." She promptly began planning their funeral. But then Valerian did something no one expected. He laid down. Just plopped right onto the demon dirt like a guy on a picnic. He assured Sion he wasn't planning to fight kids today. You know, chill villain things. Again, "Are you human?" he asked. Sion nervously replied, "Yeah." Valerian, apparently bored, asked how he ended up in the demon realm. Sion blamed it on evil river currents, and Valerian was like, "Fair." But something was off. The Demon King kept eyeing him, not like, "I want to eat you," but more like, "Why do you look like someone who's seen my evil final boss form?" Sion tried to play dumb. "We've never met," he insisted. Valerian didn't buy it. "Huh, funny. I've never met a human, yet you seem weirdly unfazed by the whole Demon King thing." He even asked if Sion's mom had ever used the "be good or the Demon King will snatch you" threat. Sion, mentally, "Bro, you killed half the continent in my last life. You're not a bedtime story." Then Valerian explained, somewhat proudly, that as Demon King, it was part of his royal routine to do the rounds across the demon realm. You know, standard monarch duties. But halfway through his explanation, he suddenly stopped. Wait, did you just call me Demon King like it's normal? He asked with wide eyes. Sion froze. He was caught. This Demon King wasn't supposed to know he'd be that terrifying in the future. So now Sion's internal panic had reached DEFCON 1. He remembered the timeline, the war, the invasion, the rivers of blood, and realized something was very, very wrong. Because this version of Valerian, he wasn't that monster. Yet, he was calm, maybe even kind. Still horrifying in that I could sneeze and destroy a city kind of way, but also thoughtful. So Sion made a choice. With all the courage he could muster, and a voice only slightly cracking, he asked Valerian a question. What is it that you actually want? The Demon King blinked, then smiled. I want my people to eat well, to live well. Pause. But if anyone messes with them, I'll kill every last one of them. Sion. Well, that escalated quickly. But for a brief moment, Sion saw it. The true Valerian, the one from his past. That version wasn't gone, just caged, sleeping. Something, someday, would wake that monster up. So Sion did the only thing that made sense. He offered a deal. He told Valerian that something was coming, an incident, one that would twist him into that war-hungry beast. He didn't know what it was exactly, just that it would ignite a war between humans and demons, and he wanted to prevent it. All he asked? That Valerian promised not to start a war, no matter what happens. Valerian looked confused. This is nonsense, he said. But Sion stood firm. I'll help you, he said. Whatever happens, I'll do everything I can to protect your people, to protect you. It was gutsy. It was mad. It was probably going to get him killed. But Valerian didn't strike him down. Instead, he leaned closer, studied the boy. You know something, the Demon King murmured. Sion didn't deny it. And then, Valerian did something completely unexpected. He smiled. All right, kid. Name? Sion. Sion Vert. And with a solemn nod, Valerian, Demon King of all demonkind, potential destroyer of worlds, made a vow. I, Valerian, ruler of the demon realm, swear not to invade the human lands. For now. So no matter what wild chaos unfolds, Velk, that Demon King guy with the fancy wings, suddenly flaps into the sky like he's got places to be. But before taking off, he throws a serious look at Kanan, our hero of course, and says, hey, remember, you're the one who has to keep your end of the bargain. Deals are deals, pal. Kanan nods like a kid promising to do homework, and just like that, the pact is sealed. Boom. Cut 2. Our boy Sion wakes up on some shore, surrounded by knights who look like they just won the lottery. They're all, how in the heck did you survive the devil dragon? And from that day forward, Sion gets an epic new nickname, the boy who survived the devil dragon. Talk about a party trick. They haul him back to this border abbey, which for now doubles as a military hospital. Princess Erin, who's been hanging around, clearly crushing hard, pops up at his side. She blushes like she just got caught staring, and then drops a bombshell question. So, will you be mine? Cue the dramatic music. Sion, trying not to faint or choke on his words, confirms, yeah, sure, don't get your hopes crushed or anything. Erin's face turns an even deeper shade of pink, but instead of backing down, she points a fierce finger at him and goes, just wait and see. I'm gonna get so strong you won't be able to ignore me anymore. Sion just chuckles, thinking, all right, I'm here for it. And she bounces away, already scheming like a boss. Before she leaves, she thanks him for being alive. A sweet moment, except Sion just gives her the classic deadpan, yeah, no big deal look. That's our guy. Fast forward a few days, somewhere on the edge of a forest, there's a dude sneaking around, laughing quietly to himself while clutching a glowing box. He says, not much longer now. Clearly up to no good. Suddenly, a mysterious figure with an ominous aura shows up and calls him out. So, you're Reynold Crimson? Our sneaky guy, surprise, surprise, is stuck like he's tied up by invisible chains. The aura guy then explains that this glowing box is some fancy dimensional artifact, like a magic TARDIS that can store infinite stones. Apparently, it's a masterpiece from the Garum Kingdom's Mage Association. Fancy, huh? The aura dude knows Reynolds been smuggling demon blood. Yep, illegal demon juice trafficking. and that someone inside the Empire's supply chain is playing dirty too. He's been watching Reynolds for a whole year, piecing the puzzle together like a detective in a fantasy noir. Reynolds, now cornered, tries to play dumb. But no way. The aura guy, none other than Kanan Vert, our MC again, naturally, empties the box, revealing monster body parts, and calls him out for the black market demon blood trade. He even suspects a spy helping Reynolds. Tense vibes all around. Reynolds, desperate, tries to fight back by breathing fire at Kanan. Because why not? He shouts, "Die!" and unleashes a huge flame attack, expecting Kanan to go up in smoke. But guess what? Kanan's chill as ever. The fire just misses him, and Reynolds sighs, "Great, I lost the box and now this idiot's here." Suddenly, Kanan slices Reynolds' hand clean off, blood fountain and all, then grabs his neck with that choose-your-own-death look. The options? Spill the beans on the smuggling and the spy, then die a quick, comfortable death. Or suffer a death so horrific, even Satan would say, "Dude, chill." Cut scenes again. At the border trading post, workers haul massive boxes, chatting happily about making a bit more profit this time around. Two guys pop open a crate, expecting treasure, but instead find Reynolds' severed head. Yikes. Nearby, Kanan watches it all, robed and unfazed. Harem asks, "Aren't you going to do something?" He just shrugs, thinking, "Nah, the warning's been loud and clear." Reynolds, the infamous smuggler, had been sneaking demon beast blood from the front line straight into the Harem Kingdom's Mage Association. That place is basically the Hogwarts for power-hungry mages obsessed with pushing magic beyond human limits. They're into making crazy artifacts like the Dimension Box, and they'll probably use demon blood for all sorts of wild experiments. Kanan knows he's got to shut this down before things get out of hand. Harem, puzzled, says she thought Kanan only cared about himself, but now he's doing something selfless. Kanan shrugs, I just don't like more people messing with demon blood." Meanwhile, in a posh residence inside the Yusuf Empire, Ashel looks out the window, getting a report that Sion Ver went to the front line with his father. Meanwhile, a naked woman in the bed nearby hears the name and smirks. Apparently, she knows Sion as Ash's half-brother. Drama incoming. All right, so Kanan's getting on Ashel's last nerve. You know, that classic sibling rivalry vibe. So Ashel decides, "I'm gonna go see this guy in person." Meanwhile, Emily's over here celebrating being off the front lines, all bright-eyed and hopeful like, the academy? Piece of cake. Finally, no more doom and gloom. But Sion, ever the party pooper, mumbles, "Welcome to the real hell." Yeah, the academy's basically a swamp of politics, jealousy, and backstabbing. Basically high school, but with magic and more drama. Emily's excited about the lots of handsome instructors, hoping romance is in the air. Kanan wonders quietly, is she here because of me, or just the eye candy? A few hours later, Kanan's dragging his luggage out of a carriage, and suddenly he hears gasping. It's Cran, his half-brother, who freaks out and runs away faster than you can say PTSD. Last battle trauma is real. Coom asks who that guy was. Kanan shrugs. That's Cran, my chaotic family member. Don't mind him. Cran's apparently the exact opposite of the rest of the family. But Kanan knows the real oddball isn't Cran. There's someone else. Door opens and Kanan's greeted by servants acting all polite, like suddenly he's royalty or something. He's thinking, wow, this is new. Maybe all my hard work is finally paying off? But then, bam! The mood crashes. He senses that aura. Yep, Ashel's there. Kanan tightens his grip on the door handle, steeling himself for the showdown. Ashel greets him with a smile like he owns the place, but inside Kanan's vision's going dark. Not because of the lighting, but because old wounds are opening up. Ashel jokes that it makes sense since they last saw each other before Kanan went off to the academy. Kanan's trying to stay calm, but he's ready to throw down. He even pulls out his sword, but Karam grabs his hand and says, "Chill, or you're dead." She points out there's no fun in killing Ashel right now, which is honestly pretty smart advice. Kanan takes a deep breath, puts on his polite face, and greets his big bro. Ashel's all, "Oh, I'm so happy you remember me. I worried you forgot your own brother." Kanan pats his head like, "Yeah, sorry to disappoint." Ashel's heard Kanan's gotten better at swordsmanship and says soon he'll be helping him in battle. Then he corrects himself. "No, I'm going to be helping you." Kanan shoots him a murder glare but says he's looking forward to it. Sibling rivalry level. Expert. Ashel's pretty chill knowing Kanan came just to see him, because Ashel isn't one to waste time on anyone he considers useless. Meanwhile, Emily's complaining Kanan didn't even help with her luggage. She stops at a door to rest, opens it, and screams. Not because of ghosts, but because the first young master is right there. Ashel tells her he knows she's close to Kanan, and that she should just do her work and ignore him. Emily's nervous, tells Kanan he should have warned her the first young master was around. Kanan just grumbles, "Leave me alone." Emily wants to argue, but Kanan's scary enough that she backs off. Later, Kanan's puking in the restroom, classy, breathing hard, and Karam asks why she stopped him from going full rage mode. Kanan's like, "Shouldn't I be thanking you?" She says nah, she just wants his rage to build because honestly, that makes him tastier or something. Kanan smiles, as expected of Karam. Down the hall, a man reports to Ashel that he's tracked down the second young lady. She's in the north, in the White Elves' territory. Ashel knows the White Elves hate outsiders, but says, "Well, my sister's good at dealing with people." He tells the man to let him know when she's heading back. The man says Ashel looks brighter than usual and wonders if the young master visit was fun. Ashel admits he's actually in a terrible mood, thinking back on Kanan's murderous glare, like he was staring down a lifelong nemesis. Ashel knows Kanan's driving him nuts and says he'll keep an eye on him. The man promises to assign someone for the job. Ashel stares out the window, still haunted by Kanan's eyes, wondering just what Kanan Vert is hiding. And hey, here's a little spoiler for you. Kanan's definitely got some secrets. Okay, so Sion's this close to getting sweet revenge on his loser stepbrother Ashel, like sword-swinging level close. But luckily, his thick demonic sword stopped him just in time. Ashel's a bit wary now, remembering those crazy fiery eyes Sion gave him. Yikes. Fast forward to the big day. Sion's got to leave for the academy. Carriage is waiting, knights are all around, and Emily? She's fuming. She tells Sion she's disappointed in him, not for leaving, but because she can't go with him. She's basically whining, "You should have told me." But hey, no use crying now. Sion's all chill, tells her it's not his fault he can only take a single night escort. He says goodbye, even gives Emily a little pep talk to behave with that signature smug grin. Emily's the kind of maid who's got his back no matter what. And that's saying something. Carriage starts moving, and Emily's stunned that Sion just left without a proper send-off. So naturally, she screams from the distance, "Don't get bullied. Stay strong." Classic Emily. Sion smiles to himself, remembering how when he was just a sick kid, feverish, losing consciousness, Emily was the one who carried him through rain to the nearest doctor. She literally saved his life back then, and he knows it. He flashes her a bright smile and jokingly threatens, "Act right or I'll kill you myself." Emily rolls her eyes, knowing it's just his weird way of saying, "I care." After that emotional moment, Sion relaxes in the carriage, but then his face darkens. Why the heck does it take 6 whole nights of intermediate stops just to get to the academy? Something's fishy. The carriage rolls on into the night. 2 knights exchange a meaningful look, some silent signal going on. Sion, lying inside, senses something off. Suddenly, they stop. One knight tells him they'll camp here for the night. Sion asks where they are, and the knight says, Sayern, the central city. But Sion's already suspicious. There's no forest like this near Sayern. No shady woods either. He knows. They're trying something. Eventually, the knights tell Sion he can come out. Sion steps out, making small talk, even commenting that the airs are refreshing, just to check out the area. But the knights? They've circled him, swords drawn and ready. Red flag. Sion asks, "Who's behind this?" Silence. Nervous glances. Out of 6 knights, one dude's smirking like he's got a secret. Sion's not having it, and with a more intimidating glare, repeats the question. That smirking knight steps forward, says Sion doesn't need to know because he's going to die soon anyway. Charming guy. He says there are no hard feelings, but then points his sword at Sion, suggesting he be nice so it's as painless as possible. Sion's supposed to just stand there with eyes closed, like that's going to happen. The knight rushes at Sion, sword swinging, shouting, "Goodbye." Blade's about to slice Sion's neck, but in a split second, head flies off. Not Sion's head, the knight's. Everyone's stunned. The knights stare in horror, unsure what just happened. Sion, still holding his demonic sword, demands, "Who's behind this?" Suddenly the atmosphere changes. The knights feel something weird. Fear. Sion's eyes glow red, burning with fury, and he asks why nobody's moving. Were they really not expecting this? One knight in the back is straight up shocked, but the others snap out of it and charge. Bad move. This fight, totally one-sided. One by one, knights scream in pain as Sion slices through them with deadly precision. Then Sion notices a knight trying to run. Too late. Wham! Something hits him from behind. Sion effortlessly throws his demonic sword like a boomerang, and it hits the fleeing knight down. Sion's not here to play. Watch out, Academy, because things are about to get wild. Bullseye. The last knight left was trembling, tears streaming down his face, unable to even blink as the bloody bodies of his comrades lay scattered around him. He wondered if Cannon, the kid he just faced, was really only 11 years old. Sion calmly extended his hand, silently summoning his demonic sword back. The knight's mind raced. No wonder Cannon survived fighting a dragon. Looking into Sion's burning red eyes, he knew the mission was doomed from the start. The last knight collapsed to the ground, overwhelmed with fear. Sion slowly approached him, voice cold but commanding. "Tell me everything. Your life's worth more than some secret." Shaking like a leaf, the knight spilled the truth. Mrs. Margaret was behind all this. Sion's face twisted in disappointment. The interrogation was almost too easy. The knight, still trembling, couldn't say a word more. The next day, the carriage was rolling again. The knight's life had been spared, and he kept feeding Sion more info. Sion lounged at the top of the carriage, piecing things together. It turned out Kron had asked a favor from his mother. Sion's dark aura flared the moment he heard, his loser stepbrother. He was itching to teach that fool a lesson. Suddenly, the knight's worried voice interrupted him. "What's going to happen to me now?" Tears welled in his eyes. "Are you going to kill me?" Sion smirked, noting the knight wasn't that sad. The knight reasoned, "We were the first to try and kill the young master. I deserve no mercy." Breaking the tension, Sion casually told him, "Just keep driving." Then he added with a hint of warning, "There's a difference between being useless and having no value. Remember that." The knight, stunned and grateful, could only manage a shaky, "Thank you." Moments later, Sion grinned and announced, "We're finally here." Before him stood the grand city of Seyfern. Elsewhere, a vase shattered violently. A trembling voice demanded, "What do you mean by that?" Important news was being delivered. One knight was missing. The other 6 were found dead. Apparently, Sion had left Seyfern 10 days ago. Mrs. Margaret was standing there, hands shaking in rage. She blamed the man before her for this fiasco. Screaming, she demanded how they failed to eliminate some little child. The butler bowed low, sweating heavily. "We underestimated the young master. There's someone behind the scenes we don't know of." He begged for another chance and promised to send someone to finish the job at the academy. Mrs. Margaret's face twisted in displeasure. She worried that sending someone would just provoke Sion further. She remembered the menacing glare he'd given her when she crossed him. She wanted her son to graduate in one piece. Turning her back, she ordered the butler to do nothing for now, but warned him to keep their conversation a secret. Anyone who knows about this must be eliminated. The butler left, unaware someone was watching from the shadows in the hallway. Back with Sion, he was taking a short nap. It had been 10 days since leaving Seyfern. The knight spared earlier, Brian, had become his loyal subordinate. Sion assumed Mrs. Margaret already knew he was alive. At this rate, he'd reach the Royal Academy safely. His only dilemma? What to do about Brian. Suddenly, Brian informed him, "We've arrived." Annoyed, Sion muttered, all right, brings back old memories." The carriage stopped at the academy gates. He couldn't call them good memories, but he knew the academy had changed him. Inside, Sion flashed his emblem and introduced himself. Sion Ver, of the Duke Ver family. The staff looked stunned. One lady quickly snapped to attention and confirmed he was registered. "Just head to your dorm and wait. The entrance ceremony and elemental test are in 2 days." She handed him a key, along with a letter. Sion's eyes widened. "Are you sure there's no mistake?" Moments later, bags thudded onto the floor. Brian's mouth dropped open in shock. Turns out Sion's dorm room was none other than the Royal Hall, the Academy's most luxurious suite. No one in our family has ever gotten this kind of treatment, Sion thought. Someone definitely had a hand in this. He snapped Brian out of his awe. Is all my stuff here? Brian nervously nodded. Sion dug into his coat's inner pocket with a serious look. Your role here is done. Brian panicked, begging, Wait, don't kill me. Instead, Sion tossed him a bag of gold coins. Sion just kept walking. Consider this payment for your hard work these past few days. Sion reached into his coat and pulled out a heavy bag of gold coins. This is for your hard work, he said, tossing it to Brian. Enough to start a new life anywhere. You might end up dead if you go back to Vus. Brian was speechless for a moment. Then suddenly he dropped to his knees. Young Master, Brian Kendrick, an official knight of Vus, asks your permission to serve you for life. The excitement that should have filled the air vanished instantly as Sion's eyes widened in shock. A knight? He couldn't believe it. Brian bowed his head deeply. I'm the lowest of the low. Usually I'm treated as a mere coachman. He spoke quietly. My father told me if I find someone worthy of my trust, I should serve them without hesitation. Sion sighed, shaking his head. That's a foolish thing to do. Caught off guard by the cold answer, Brian still held his ground as Sion's dark aura flared. How can you be sure I won't stab you in the back one day? Brian answered without hesitation. It doesn't matter if you do, I'll still serve. Sion smiled thinly and tapped Brian's shoulder. Good, then don't ever think about betraying me. That was Sion's way of accepting Brian as his knight. The carriage door opened, Sion said. We won't attend the entrance ceremony. Head straight to the elemental test. Brian still couldn't believe what just happened. Inside the Royal Academy's dean's office, two officials discussed this year's talented students. The testing hall buzzed with aspiring students. On the platform stood Princess Erin, silver hair glowing in a bright aura. Her stats? Mana, 2 stars, physical, B rank, element, light at 52% proficiency. Next was Seth Shaharan, a massive, muscle-bound guy. Mana, 3 stars, physical, a rank, element, sand, at 71%. An older man scrolled through the student info and stopped, his eyes fixed on Sion. Kanan Vert, he murmured. Mana rank, 1 star, physical rank, S. Dark element proficiency, a staggering 92%. Professor Chikanri added, even Alice Vert, the so-called God's child, only reached 88% in water element by graduation. The Dean Kundal Queasel nodded. Sion's talent might rot because of his dark element, but his potential is undeniable. Chika frowned. Are you aware he's assigned to the Royal Hall? Yes, said the Dean, per the Emperor's order. He explained that Sion saved the young princess from monsters on the front lines. There were even rumors the Emperor considered marrying them. They imagined the fallout if the 5th princess, seen as a failure, married into the Vert family, famous for raising prodigies. Chika warned, succession conflicts will rise. The empire could split. Civil war might come. Dean Kundal raised a hand, stopping her. We watch and wait. He could be the empire's savior or its downfall. Brian stared, dumbfounded. Meanwhile, the cause of all this worry casually walked the academy halls. Sion mused, in my past life, my dark affinity was only 80%. Maybe it's from drinking demonic beast's blood. Ahead stood Cran, the blonde boy who looked like he saw a ghost. The chubby guy beside Cran smirked. Is that the kid you treated like a slave? Cran hesitated, then nodded. That loser was P.O. Panarin, a.k.a. Fatso. They used to bully Sion mercilessly. Sion thought, lucky me running into these losers. P.O. nudged Cran. Looks like Sion needs a lesson. Cran tried to stop him. On the other side, Sion was already planning something. Cray wanted to run away and suggested lunch instead. But Fatso just kept walking toward Sion. Suddenly, a powerful kick slammed into P.O.'s chest, shattering the wall behind him. Sion's devilish grin spread wide. That must have felt good. Cran could only cry out, screaming for his friend. Fatso, Popper, got popped. Sion walked up to the trembling Cran. The fear in the boy's eyes was satisfying. Placing a hand on his stepbrother's shaking shoulder, I don't care what you do behind my back. But if I see your face again, a dark grin curled on his lips, you'll graduate in a wheelchair. Cran's knees buckled. He collapsed, sobbing. Sion turned his back, strolling away casually. Life in the academy is going to be fun. A few hours later, inside the quiet, towering Royal Academy Library, Professor Seekonri moved silently down the aisle, her mind still preoccupied with what the dean had said. That boy might become the Empire's hero, or its downfall. She had made up her mind. She would personally watch over Kanan Vare. She reached the shelf she needed, only to find the book missing. Her brow furrowed. That book wasn't just any text. It was a coded channel for classified orders. "Looking for this?" a calm voice asked from behind. She turned sharply. It was him, Sion. Her expression shifted instantly, from startled to composed. "You shouldn't be in here," she said sweetly. "Students aren't allowed in this section." "But how didn't I sense him until just now?" "Mr. Kanan Vare, right?" she added, eyeing the book in his hand. "Of course," Sion said with a polite smile. The book was cut clean in half. A sharp force of dark mana had intercepted it. Sion casually stepped back. "Was this not the book you were looking for?" He started to call her Instructor Sika, then paused. "No, you're not just an instructor," he said coldly. "You're Home Sika Nrai of Mist." Her eyes sharpened dangerously. "How the hell do you know that?" In his past life, he'd been blind to her true identity. She had posed as a concerned counselor, a kind instructor who saw potential in the boy everyone bullied. She once told him how rare and powerful it was to possess 84% affinity in the dark element. At the time, he was so broken he didn't know whether to believe her. But now he knew better. Those innocent smiles were weapons. "I won't fall for those again," he said under his breath. "Let's talk in my lab," she said smoothly, removing her glasses. Without them, her appearance was stunning. Sion blinked. I forgot how insanely pretty she was. Still dangerous, though. Inside her lab, a strange calm settled over the dark-lit room. Scrolls, poisons, ceremonial daggers. Nothing had changed. Sion sipped his tea and grinned. "You poisoned this, didn't you?" Sika chuckled. "Nothing severe. It'll only melt your organs." He kept sipping. "You'll need something stronger next time." Her smile faded. "Fine," she said, leaning in. "Let's talk." "How did you learn who I am?" she asked. "And how did you know I get my orders from that specific book? From that shelf?" She leaned closer. "Unless you're one of us." Sion smirked. "What more proof do you need?" Her eyes gleamed. "Your head's gotten big after that flashy elemental test." "Spare me the sarcasm," Sion replied, shifting the subject. "Before I even arrived, everyone asked if one escort knight would be enough to protect me." Sika frowned. "And why would that matter?" Sion's gaze darkened. "Because nobles have started getting murdered." Sion turned his gaze sharply to Sika. "When did the Purification Project begin?" he asked. "Purification Project?" Sika echoed with a puzzled tone, but her eyes narrowed just a little too quickly. Dark energy began to leak from her. "You're not making sense, student," she said, voice laced with warning. Sion didn't flinch. His aura surged to match hers, pressing against the room like a vice. "I'm talking about the assassinations," he clarified, calm and direct. Sika's smile twisted. "You'll regret saying that." "Oh, are you threatening a student instructor?" he asked, voice sharp with mock curiosity. Her foot slammed forward. Crash. She kicked the table toward him like a projectile. But Sion had already moved. He shattered the table midair with a punch, not even blinking. "Is this really how you respond to questions?" he asked coldly. The destruction was just a distraction. Sika sprang toward him, blades drawn, landing smoothly with both weapons poised to kill. "You claim to be with Mist," she hissed. "Yet I don't know you." She unleashed a flurry of slashes, blades slicing the air. Sion evaded, distancing himself while observing. "I've shown you enough." But with a sigh, Sion summoned his weapon. Clang! Her blades were deflected by a cold, demonic edge. Sika froze mid-motion. That sword, its eerie red-black glint, its pressure. "The demonic sword Harem," she whispered. "Only the one chosen by Aru can wield that." Sion held the blade calmly, his stance composed yet exuding dominance. "Do you believe me now?" he asked. Mist was searching for a successor, and now that truth was staring her in the face. Her eyes widened. How does he know about that? Sion pressed on. The one you've been looking for is standing right in front of you. Take me to Aru. Now. That night in the shadows of Luen, a quiet alley forgotten by time, an old house stood in the dark, untouched by footsteps. A soft chanting echoed in the silence. Then a purple magic circle flickered at the door. Click. It opened. Sika and Sion, cloaked and concealed, stepped inside. Their figures melted into the gloom. You don't even seem surprised there's a mist base in a dump like this, Sika remarked. This is the path to the altar you wanted. From here on, you're on your own. A suffocating dark aura seeped from within. Sion entered alone. The moment he stepped in, the space warped, like he was inside a different dimension. A pocket realm conjured by the power of the god of fog, far larger than the house should have allowed. But Sion didn't lower his guard. 4 at 4 o'clock, 3 more at 11. Hiding in plain sight, he smirked. Daggers suddenly flew toward him, but he deflected them with ease. More shadows burst forward, an ambush. 2 assassins appeared behind him. He dodged in a blur, flipping backwards. A bit much for a welcome party, he thought. He retaliated mid-air, throwing daggers of his own. Most of them found their targets, but one didn't. One assassin mirrored his movement exactly, deflecting the attack with the same technique. Sion's eyes narrowed. He copied me? The assassin grinned behind his mask, clearly enjoying the battle. Death Horn formation, someone barked. The assassins regrouped, encircling him in a deadly pattern. Sion exhaled slowly. Dark red aura erupted around him as he began chanting a secret technique. They want blood? He raised his hand. Bloodthirst wave. The air grew heavy with killing intent, a red storm swirling around him. The assassins froze, their bodies locked, struggling to breathe. One by one, they dropped, immobilized by the sheer pressure of his manifested bloodlust. Sion didn't kill them. He didn't need to. But he noted the one who blocked his dagger was still standing. High rank, probably one of Mist's elites. I don't have time to waste, Sion muttered. He activated a fog sword technique, unshakable roots of the great tree. His arms surged with energy, demonic sword glowing in his other hand. The assassin dashed in with supernatural speed, forcing a clash. Clang! The impact cracked the floor. Sion was stunned. He stopped my technique, mid-cast? No ordinary Mist member could have done that. The assassin's mask slid off. His face was revealed, young, sharp-eyed, smiling with thrill. Sion's expression twisted, half in shock, half in disbelief. Wait a damn minute, he muttered, eyes locked on the now unmasked assassin. It was Sika, the Sika, Halm of Mist, his own crazy instructor, the same one who just tried to murder him with a table. This crazy woman lied to me, he thought, a twitch forming in his eyebrow. She hid her presence just to fight me? Before he could finish processing, Sika grinned like a maniac. Let's see how far you can go, she purred. Annoyed, Sion launched a series of high-speed sword slashes. But Sika? She was loving it. That's it, she grinned, eyes sparkling with combat lust. You're really good with the fog sword. That makes me even more curious. Just as she was about to goad him further, Sion ran. Straight up turned and sprinted in the opposite direction. Hell no, he thought. I've seen enough. She's a Zeal, one of those battle maniacs who fights until someone dies. I'm not suicidal. Sika, of course, chased after him like a lunatic, bouncing off the walls like a possessed squirrel. Come back, Sion, she shouted, eyes glowing with wild excitement. Isn't this what you wanted all along? To cut off his escape, she cast a technique, fog sword, rushing fog storm. She's not just crazy, he muttered. She's dangerous crazy. Still, Sika kept teasing. No one can sense us here. This realm was created by Aru himself. You can use everything, and no one will know. That caught Sion's attention. A place like this, I can go all out. He slowed his steps. His demeanor changed. Fine. If he had to, he'd kill her. She brought it on herself. Sion drew his demonic sword Karam and readied his stance. But before he could charge, his body trembled, then collapsed. He hit the floor, face first. Sika blinked in surprise. What? Then came a voice, calm and cutting through the tension like a blade. I knew it. You can rest now. From the darkness, a figure emerged, cold, radiant, terrifying. Karam, in her true form, had manifested. Long hair like black silk, eyes glowing with demonic wisdom. This was the spirit of the sword herself. Sika's eyes widened in reverence. Then, without hesitation, she knelt. You didn't want to intervene, Sika said carefully, but I needed to be sure he was the successor. Karam's aura exploded with irritation. You could have just asked me. Instead, you try to kill my master. The pressure in the air thickened, shadows warping around them. Even the realm seemed to flinch. Do you want me to take this as a direct challenge, Sika Negri? Karam asked coldly. But Sika grinned. Oh, don't tempt me, she said, licking her lips. If you were my opponent, I wouldn't dare decline. What the hell is wrong with this woman? Karam muttered, unnerved. Sion, meanwhile, stirred weakly, still losing blood. Karam immediately rushed to him, grabbing his collar. This is nothing, she scolded. You drank beast blood and you're still weak? I'm dying here, Sion groaned. Then die better. Their bickering was cut short as Sika interrupted again. I, Hallmaster Sika Negri of Mist, do not reject any fight, she declared solemnly. Then with a twisted smile, and I'd love to see how far you can push me. Karam looked genuinely uncomfortable now. Lady, you scare me. But just before blades could clash, a voice echoed through the realm. That's enough. A dark blue portal began forming in the air. Everyone stopped. Sion instantly recognized the magic. His eyes widened in relief. That portal, it's finally here. A voice from within the vortex addressed Sika directly. Send the successor to the altar. Sika immediately dropped to one knee and bowed. As you command. Sion stood slowly, an awkward smile on his blood-stained face. Well, guess I'm finally meeting the big guy. People often say the god of black fog is evil, a being who kills without hesitation and justifies it with unnerving calm, as if every death was an act of mercy. But when asked why, the god always gives the same answer. It's what they wanted. Others scoff. That logic is madness. But some, just a few, believe he's simply protecting the weak, in the only way he knows how. To them, this god isn't a monster. He's just a fool. Sion stepped through the swirling blue portal, feeling the energy shift around him. The realm was quiet, too quiet. In front of him stood a vast staircase, ancient and weathered, stretching toward the sky. And at the top of it sat a throne. On that throne rested the god of black fog, Aru. Eyes like shifting clouds, posture like someone who hasn't moved in centuries, but still radiating the subtle dread of someone who could destroy you at any moment, if he cared enough. Aru's voice echoed through the silence. Do you know who I am? Sion nodded. Aru, the god of black fog. Aru leaned forward, voice calm but piercing. And are you? Sion Vert? I am, Sion replied evenly. Aru raised an eyebrow. And what evidence do you have to claim yourself as my successor? Sion answered. You've already felt it, haven't you? The fog in me, the mist stone chose me. Aru nodded slowly. There are two paths to becoming my successor. One, I grant you the mist stone myself. The other is when the stone chooses a worthy soul. He glanced at Sion, gaze sharp. I've never met you before, which means the stone made its own decision. He paused, then added, It did vanish from the altar a year ago. That fits your timeline. Sion said nothing. And the fact that you awakened Karam when I couldn't even find her, Aru chuckled. I'd say you handled her well. Sion kept his expression unreadable. Aru then stared directly into his eyes. There's a strange light in you, not something that belongs to this timeline. Sion blinked. You mean, you didn't bring me here? Aru shrugged, lounging back like a tired librarian. If you were hoping for some all-knowing god figure, you're in the wrong realm. My power's been stripped for a long time now. I'm just here. That hit Sion harder than expected. It all made a twisted kind of sense. Aru continued, voice almost amused. But hey, you came to me. A perfect successor just walked in. Less work for me. Sion sighed. Still lazy as ever, huh? Aru then eyed something beneath Sion's robe. You brought something annoying with you, he said dryly. Weren't satisfied with the demonic sword? Now you're after the holy sword too? Sion gave a devilish grin. Not trying anything yet, just thought, if the world doesn't know something exists, maybe it becomes useless, that's all. Aru shook his head, smirking. You've got a real evil hobby, kid, but fine. I'll play by the rules. He stood. As the fog darkened, his voice shifted, gaining weight. Successor, you who now inherit my power, what do you seek with it? The question struck a nerve. Sion had heard it before, in his past life. Back then, his answer was simple. To live for my brother. Now he knew better. It was a hollow, naive answer. A dream that led to death. Even Harem and Aru didn't criticize it back then. He finally understood why. Back then, he had nothing of his own. But this time was different. I have no grand ideals, Sion said. No faith, no righteousness. I'll use your power for myself. Aru didn't flinch. Right or wrong is for you to decide, the god said. Are you confident you won't regret it? I don't care, Sion replied. I'll walk my own path, no matter what it leads to. Aru studied him quietly, then chuckled. You've got something planned. Sion smirked. Maybe. Want to tell me? Nope. Boring brat. Their exchange ended with a rare moment of calm, until Aru turned his attention to the spirit beside him. Karam, I see you've changed, he said with a knowing grin. You like your new master that much, huh? You've become obedient. Karam turned red. What are you talking about? Aru leaned closer. I'm just happy for you. Wait, you crazy old freak, Karam yelled, shoving him. Sion watched from a safe distance. Ah yes, such a wholesome father-daughter moment. Before the kiss could land, a burst of light flared around Karam. Her body began to shift, her ethereal form solidifying into flesh and blood. Her eyes widened. Well, what the hell? I have a body? Sion blinked. I didn't channel any mana. Aru smirked. Just a little life force. From me. Karam grabbed his robe, flustered. Why would you do that? You'll need a real body, Aru replied casually, to better serve your master. The way he said serve made Karam's face go nuclear. You pervert! She began shaking him violently. Aru just laughed like the mischievous god he was. Sion could only sigh. Truly, father and daughter are exactly the same. The next morning at the student dorms, the tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a sword. Brian, loyal as ever, leaned down to whisper into his young master's ear. Young master, what is happening? He asked, confused and mildly panicked. Sion sighed, his expression blank. I don't know. Let's just leave it. Brian couldn't just leave it. Not when Sarara and Karam were engaged in a heated staring contest that made the entire dormitory feel like a battlefield about to erupt. Karam, irritated and fuming, grumbled about how inappropriate it was for an instructor to visit her student so early in the morning. She hinted that the others might start whispering about a special relationship between Sia and Cyan. Sarara shot back coldly, saying she only came to guide Cyan to the right path. Karam retorted that a Halm instructor ought to maintain decorum and distance. The tension snapped tighter. The two glared at each other like a tiger and a dragon, neither willing to back down. Their auras clashed, their hands inching toward their weapons. Brian, standing awkwardly between them, already felt his life flash before his eyes. Cyan, tired of it all, muttered, I'm going for a walk, and left. Young master, wait, don't leave me with them, Brian whispered close to tears. Out in the streets, Cyan wandered through the bustling academy city, finally able to breathe freely. From a high platform, he gazed down at the town below. The faint metallic scent of blood reached his nose. He looked down to see a student pushed to the ground, coughing blood. The bullies surrounding him sneered. One of them conjured an orange mana marble in his palm. Open up. I brought you a snack, he said menacingly, trying to force it into the injured student's mouth. Stop, a voice rang out. A girl with regal posture stood firm. How dare nobles like you bully someone so shamelessly? The lead bully, Barrett Louis Mill, introduced himself smugly. He was the eldest son of the Duke of the Harem Kingdom. When he asked who the girl was, she introduced herself as Oren Saris, fifth princess of the Yusuf Empire. Barrett laughed, dismissed. He grabbed the injured student, wrapping an arm around his shoulders like an old friend. "We were just playing around. Isn't that right?" he asked. The student, fearful and shaking, responded, "Yes, we were just playing." "See," Barrett said, "you're making a big fuss over nothing." Oren demanded to take the student with her. Barrett gripped her arm. "You really don't understand, do you? The kid wants you to leave." He tried to intimidate her. "You're just a weak little princess." Before anything else could happen, a swift kick launched Barrett away. Cyan stood in the clearing dust, his expression calm, though his eyes flashed with annoyance. Oren blinked in surprise. Cyan had appeared out of nowhere. But Cyan's eyes were not on Barrett. They were on the injured student. "Lexus," he muttered in disbelief. A flash of memory hit him like a sword. In his previous life, at Klein Castle in the Harem Kingdom, he had dueled Lexus Clean, the continent's strongest swordsman. She was originally from the Yusuf Empire, but had defected and joined the Count Clean household. Their battle had been legendary, Cyan with a dagger, Lexus with a sword. She shattered the ground with a single strike, and Cyan only defeated her by using aerial maneuvers and ambush tactics. The Empire had sent him to assassinate her, but Cyan had chosen to duel her head-on out of respect. Back to the present. Barrett's lackeys tried to help their master up. He shoved them aside and sneered at Cyan. "So, you're Cyan Vert. I heard you're from the front lines. Care to join our little game?" Cyan didn't reply at first. He created a mana marble of his own, much larger, more volatile than theirs. It pulsed with dangerous energy. "Open your mouths," Cyan growled. Barrett and his group ran like cowards. Later, at the academy clinic, Lexus rested on a bed. Her external injuries had healed, but her internal ones would take time. Oren, by her side, was visibly worried. "You should rest," Oren said. Lexus thanked her, blushing. She had no idea how to repay the kindness. Oren grinned. Cyan scared them off like it was nothing. Cyan watched silently, impressed. Despite her injuries, Lexus had endured. No wonder she had earned the title of the best swordsman. "Do I know you?" Lexus asked Cyan, sensing his gaze. "No," he replied, shaking his head. "I thought I did, but I don't. Sorry if I made you uncomfortable." Oren asked where Lexus's dorm was. When she heard it was in the commoner's hall, she was appalled. "You're a peasant?" Oren asked without malice, only surprise. Lexus nodded. She explained that an instructor named Vane had supported her admission, but was suddenly fired, leaving her without backing. Oren frowned. "Then you'll have to leave?" Cyan suggested an idea. "Why not take her as your person? Learn swordsmanship from her." Oren was confused. "Why would I learn swordsmanship from a boy?" Cyan chuckled. "Lexus is a girl." Everyone paused. Lexus nodded. She explained that her appearance and clothes were for comfort, and it led to misunderstandings. Oren apologized profusely. Lexus told her it was okay. Then Oren asked, "Will you be mine then? My knight?" Lexus was touched. "Why me? I hate being alone, and you're strong," Oren said. Lexus vowed, "I'll be someone you can be proud of." "You don't need to thank me," Oren smiled. It was all Cyan's idea. When they turned to thank him, he was already gone. Cyan walked away silently. He'd done enough. Oren would take care of the rest. He finally understood why Lexus had left the Yusuf Empire in his past life. She had lost her mana because of Barrett Lewis Mill, the continent's best swordsman who never lost her mana before. She'd become even more difficult to face next time. But Cyan's mind was elsewhere. Earlier that morning, Sika had handed him a sealed envelope. Inside was his first purification mission as a mist. He remembered her words, "I believe in you." But Cyan knew better. She was bluffing. The mission was far too difficult for a novice. He stared at the paper with a dry laugh. Things are only going to get worse. Still, he felt something new stirring in him. Resolve. The path ahead was long, and the fog only getting thicker. All right, nerds. Hope your eyeballs had a good time. Smash that feedback button like it owes you money.